by your first name. Okay, so try not to use your surname. You might have people order. Okay. Welcome and thank you, as I said. And what I'd like to start off with is congratulating a few leaders that we have you here today. The Year 10 committee was announced last week. The Year 10 House Reps were also announced. And last but not least, the science leaders were announced. So congratulations to those people. By now you should be used to my name popping up on your email screens, George Catras, if you don't know me. I'm the one that annoys you probably every Monday or Tuesday about the leadership booklet. That is the best way to communicate to you guys. We have, not here presently, but there's over 100 people enrolled in this particular course. So that's a fantastic achievement. And it further highlights the value we place on leadership within our college. But bearing in mind, you don't have to have a badge to become a leader, and I think a lot of us can associate someone other than ourselves that may not have a badge that is an excellent leader. Okay, but this is the start of things for you in terms of if you're moving into Year 11 next year, if you're moving into Year 12, you know, if you want to continue on your leadership positions, it's the start. Furthermore, with that, it's also a start if you want to go on to some type of leadership position later on in life. The Year 10s will tell you that, I don't know if many did put down the leadership certificate on their resumes, but it's something that you need to update on your resumes. And in semester 2, when we start updating our resumes, you'll need to put this certificate on there. Okay? It is a point of discussion. It is an example of something that may separate you from another person. Okay? So what we're saying here is that it's a certificate that supports what you're already doing as a leader. So it's not just the badge that you guys get, hopefully you've all got them by now, but it is something that says, okay, well, you know, let's look at more than that. Let's make sure we're monitoring you guys as time goes on. Now the booklet isn't all that difficult. The time it takes to do it isn't all that hard. It's just making the time, and that's where I come in with reminders. Okay? By now you should all have the relevant booklet. If you don't, thank you for those who have already let me know. You can also work on it online if you want to. And I encourage people, if they've done the booklet or if they've done it online, just to email it through or drop it off and I can just correct it as it goes. Okay? As you go. So there's no qualms there. There will be a time next term where I'll be calling up everyone booklet to make sure you finish that first unit of work which you're doing at the moment. Okay? So, again, congratulations on an excellent start. Many of you would have received the enrolment form. Thank you for those who have got those in. The qualification title, some of you have asked me questions about that, is just the leadership certificate. Okay? That enrolment is for TAFE purposes and also for your VAS statements, which the leadership certificate will be on next time it comes around in mentor group. But that basically, if you go on to do a TAFE course that supports maybe some other course that you're doing eventually down the line, they'll have registration that you've already completed a certificate for, which is a fairly high achievement. Okay. Meetings, we try to have 2 a term. This is our second one, and the next one will be next term. We try to have one sort of earlier on in the piece, and then later on in the term, with regards to making sure we're on top of things. One of the things I wanted to talk about in your roles as leaders is simple ideas to stimulate creativity. Okay, let me give you a situation. Often at school we're given assignments and it's fairly well structured and you have a criteria and away you go. There's not a lot of opportunities for you to become creative. In other words, the teacher says, off you go and do this. Okay, and you're like, well, what are the guidelines? You know, how much is it worth? Those sorts of things. We need structure, but in your ability as a leader, you can be creative, okay? And I encourage people to be creative in their particular roles. Not necessarily going along with the pack, but trying to think of things and do things, not outlandish, but that will stimulate creativity in your role. In other words, it's a buzz that creates interest. Let me give you some ideas in terms of whether you think you're a creative person. I've just jotted down a few lists, okay? Do you go for a walk? Do you move your eyes? Go, everyone move their eyes. Left, right, up, down. Get your finger out. I know you might think I'm a bit strange, but down, exercise your eyes, well done. Do you take breaks and enjoy yourself? When you come to school, do you actually take a route that you've never taken before? In other words, do you actually walk to school, drive to school, ride to school? Do you actually go a different way sometimes just to stimulate? Do you try things that you've never done before? And this is something that you need to think about in your leadership role. Okay, when you achieve something, do you actually congratulate yourself? Do you give yourself a bit of a pat on the back? Okay, it's very important to get that confidence. Do you actually use a different colour that you've never tried before? I want you to think about that today when you're writing. Try use a different colour than blue. Don't do that in an exam though. You talk to your grandparents and listen to them very carefully. One of the things that I would recommend you guys do is make sure that when you're talking to your grandparents one time, record them. And when you're working with younger people, or when you're working with people of the same age as yourself, do you observe them when they're actually doing something creative? Okay. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing with my mentor group is that taking a bunch of them down to the ELC and just sitting down with the young kids there and just seeing how creative they are. Because often we sort of stifle creativity. And what I want you to encourage you to do, and I may not observe this, you might want to come and tell me, that maybe with what you're doing as a leader, that you've shown some sort of creativity, something a little bit different. Okay? So think about being creative. Okay? Something that often we just go along with the status quo and don't try and challenge things. But of course, what we need to be mindful of when we're challenging things, we've got to make sure we're sticking within the confines of the relevant rules and regulations. Okay? Alright, so the next aspect that you're up to in the leadership booklet is communication. And some of you would have seen the video behind me with Abbott and Costello, who's on first base. If you haven't seen it, pay attention carefully and have a think about the role of communication that you play amongst young people in our particular society here at St Leonard's College. Annabella, if you wouldn't mind, I'll ask you to dim the lights. And this goes for about 5 or 6 minutes. I think you'll enjoy. And the other one, the top one from that too, Annabelle.
Excellent sign.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
He's on the YouTube. What's his account? George Catchworth. Look at that.